But everybody had come for the Mayapur festival, that's in Falguni. And Ram Navami was quite a ways away. But Prabhupada wanted the devotees to stay till then. So in the in-between time, we did a program, first of all, in Puri. We did the Pandal program in Puri. Then we all took a very slow train to Hyderabad. The Prabhupada was doing a program in Hyderabad because that one fellow, G. Pullareddy, he had just donated some land on Nampally Station Road for making a temple. So Prabhupada wanted to do a big Pandal program for advertising. So we all went in this train. And this was way back in 1975. There wasn't even padding on the seats. We were just sitting on the wood, going like this. Your butts got very sore. So we finally got to Hyderabad, and they put us up in a nearby hotel that was under construction. Because those days, we didn't have any money, it's not like nowadays. So we were sleeping in our sleeping bags in the cement dust in this hotel under construction. But it was right near the place where there was a big Pandal program. So every night Prabhupada would lecture in Hindi, although we didn't understand hardly anything. We just knew that Prabhupada was talking about Krishna, so we sat there very politely. And after his lecture, Prabhupada always asked for questions. So, I remember a fellow from Hyderabad, he got up, and I guess the Underwallas, they like to listen to themselves. Because he went on and on and on making his question, Swamiji, I want to ask you this question because this is a very important question for humanity at large, and the answer to this question is very important. So I'm putting this question to you because I know you'll give the proper answer, because this is a very important question, because everybody in this world, they need to know the answer to this question. Prabhupada said, all right, what is your question? He said, Swamiji, you have to do the duty. He said, that is monkey's duty. Krishna says, Sarvadharma Parityajya Mam Ekam Saranam Braja. You just give up everything and surrender to him. That's all. Prabhupada just cut him. After that, Prabhupada told Achyutananda that you write down the questions. And I remember we did Harinam around the Charminar and everything, and we were going around the Charminar, and there was a great big bull and a cow, and so another bull immediately came, and they started a big fight, and we were, right in the middle of this whole thing, and we just, ran like anything around the corner, and then we were chanting down the street, and I remember Panchadavi, he was leading the party, and he turned the corner and he went like that, and we all, but he was just faking it, because we had just seen these big bulls fighting, and so he around the corner and went like that, and everyone, And I remember G. Pullareddy,
Same Panchadravida we met in Mexico.
Huh?
Same Panchadravida whom we met in Mexico.
Yeah, now he's known as Janardhan Swami. We met him in Mexico. So, one day, because G. Pullareddy, he owns a big sweet shop in Hyderabad. So he had a big feast for all the Prabhupada and all of the Vaishnavas. So, and we all went to his residence was nearby. So we went there, we were all sitting in the garden in big rows, and he was passing out prasadam, and he ran out of sweets. So he sent somebody to a sweet shop to bring sweets. And he was coming down the line, and I was near the end of the line. And he was coming down the line giving him rasgullas, And I guess I must have looked very worried about whether there's going to be any left, Somehow he got to me, and he just looked at my face, he took a rasgulla and just pushed it right into my mouth. So I said, Haribol. I guess I must have looked worried or something, because he didn't do that to anybody else, just he got to me and he said, Haribol. He pushed the rasgulla right into my mouth. So today we'll go to a very special place. Om Jnana Tibrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurum Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamaya Dati Swapadantika Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Oh, he's bringing, okay. So Mahaprabhu, when he did Prikrama Vrindavan, he started from Madhuvan. Madhuvan, Talavan, Kamudvan, Bahulavan. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it doesn't specifically say, but it's describing up to Bahulavan. Then it describes how all the cows were coming and sniffing at Mahaprabhu, and the little gwals, they were having a hard time getting the cows to come away, and the deer would come and see, they recognized that even though he was golden in complexion, so was there Brijananandan Cham Sundar, but no flute. Instead, he has a sannyas rod and a kamandalu. Uh, uh, and it describes how the trees were bending down, they were offering their basins filled with fruits. Very beautiful section is there. So that is Bahulavan. So from Bahulavan, he started towards Govardhan. And he was going along with one devotee named Balabhadra Bhattacharya, who was accompanying him. And Mahaprabhu, he wasn't doing Prikrama like you guys when you come with AC bus and car. He was going by his 2 feet with his hand raised in the air, completely lost in ecstasy, chanting very loudly, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Completely lost in ecstasy, no external consciousness. As they approached the end of Govardhan, they came to some village, and Balabhadra, he asked one villager, what is the name of this village? And that villager told him, this is Aritagram. As soon as the sound of Aritagram entered Mahaprabhu's ear, he returned to external consciousness. And he began to ask everyone, where's Radhakund and Shamakund? But nobody could tell him. They were lost to the eyes of the world. Now, why hearing Aritagram did Mahaprabhu think of Radhakund and Shamakund? Because the original name of this place is Aristagram, named after one asura named Aristasura, who came in the form of a bull. So why, hearing about the killing of a huge bull demon named Aristasura, did Mahaprabhu think of Radhakund and Shamakund? Because originally, and Jiva Goswami explains, it was on the Chaitra Purnima. Krishna was near the end of Govardhan Hill, and he had just gotten dressed up to do Ras Leela with the gopis. Prabhupada describes that Krishna was Natavara, just like a dancing actor. Very beautiful pitambar dhoti and nice sash and beautiful chadar. He was just getting ready to do Ras Leela with the gopis. When he got the news that the Brishvasis were being terrorized by this Aristasura, you thought this terrorism was a new thing, but this has been going on since at least last 5,000 years. This was Arista bin Laden. He was tearing up the ground with his hooves. He was smashing the Brishvasi houses with his horns. His roaring was so frightening that all the cows and the Brihspasinis had miscarriages. He was just his tail was so big it was swatting the clouds. There was clouds hanging around the hump on his back. This huge demon. And Krishna became very angry. Why are you terrorizing the poor Brihspasis? Who do you think you are? And Aristasura, he took one look at Krishna, and he snorted, and he kicked the ground, and Krishna just put his hand on the shoulder of his friend. In Nectar Devotion is described, Krishna just put his hand on the shoulder of his friend. He was not at all afraid of Aristasura. And Aristasura pointed his horns, and he came charging. And Prabhupada explains that in Nectar Devotion, describing the qualities of Krishna, so one of them is clever, means he knows the way to control a bull is by the horns. So that Aristasura came charging him, and Krishna just grabbed him by the horns, swung him around and around and around and around, and smashed him on the ground, and pulled out one of his horns and began to beat him, and then he stomped on him like a wet sponge, and passing stool and urine simultaneously, he went to the kingdom of death. Then Krishna told all the gopis, all right, now we can do Ras. And Radharani and all this, like he said, Are, how can we be associated with such a person as you? You have done a big pop. You've done a big sin. So what sin did I do? You killed a bull? That wasn't a bull. That was a demon. And Radharani and the Sakhi said, may have been a demon, but he was in the form of a bull. Krishna said, may have been in the form of a bull, but he was a demon. And Radharani said, well, we heard from Mother Purnamasi that one time Indra killed one demon. You remember that Vritrasura? But actually he was a Brahmin. He may have been a demon, but he was a Brahmin. Indra got reaction. He got reaction. Remember that old lady with tuberculosis coughing up blood? She came chasing after him. He had to hide in the lake of lotuses for 1,000 years to escape from her. So it may have been a demon, but he was a Brahmin. He got reaction. So Krishna's, all right, what do I have to do to get free from this reaction? So Radharani and all her Sakhis, they consulted one another. And then they declared, you will have to take bath in all the holy places of the universe. And Krishna said, Are, that will take a long time. How I can be away from you girls for so long? He said, I will call all the sacred places in one place and take my bath. And Radharani and Sakhis, oh Krishna, don't try to fool us with your magic. We don't believe in your magic. And then Krishna took his right foot and he stomped a big hole in the ground. And then he played on his flute and called all the sacred places personified. And all of them came with folded hands and inclined. They bent over. They said, any seva, Maharaj? Any service for us? And Krishna said, yes. You give your introduction, you chant your mantra, and you pour your water in my Kund. So everyone started coming. I'm the milk ocean. I'm the saltwater ocean. I'm the ocean of sugarcane juice. I'm Pushkar. I'm Prayag. I'm Hardwar. All the holy places of the universe came. Were giving their introduction, chanting their mantra, and pouring their water in Krishna's Kund. And Krishna, just by his eyes, he was indicating to the gopis. Because when we have love, then sometimes we don't need words. Just like when we're angry with one another, we shout. We're standing face to face, but we shout at each other. Why? Because our hearts have gone far away. But when we have love, then we talk very sweet little words. Or sometimes just with our eyes. So Krishna, just by his eyes, he was showing the gopis. See, I told you, they're coming. So then Krishna took his bath in his Kund. And then he told Radharani and all the Sakhis, you come in the water and we'll have Jalakeli, water pastimes. And Radharani and Sakhi said, Are, how can we come in this Kund? This Kund is contaminated with your sin. We're going to make our own Kund. And there was a place just near Krishna's Kund, on the other side, where Aristasur had dug his hoof into the ground. So there was a little depression. So Radharani, she broke her kankan, her golden bangle, and she began to dig. And all the Sakhis, they broke their golden bangles and they began to dig. And you can go on YouTube, you can type in Kankan Kund or Kangan Kund, either one, and you can see the cleaning of Radha Kund. And if you're lucky, you'll find one place where it shows right in the very middle, and you'll be surprised when you see all the water. They pumped all the water. First time they did it was 1987. I joined Vrindavan in 1984. So 1987, we came on Prikrama, and just that day they had pumped all the water out, and Kankan Kund was visible. And we were just amazed. So we went down and we hiked up our dhotis and saris up to our knees, and we were walking in the mud. And there was one place along where we were circumambulating. There was some flags there, and all the Brishbasis were yelling at us. And I thought they were upset because every corner the Brishbasis were scooping up this black mud and throwing it into the tractor trailers. And I guess we thought that they were just upset that we were getting in the way of their service. And all of a sudden I stepped and there was no bottom. So my one foot was on solid ground, the other foot was stuck way down in the mud, And that's why they had the flag there, and that's why they were all shouting, because they knew there's a crevice there, there's a big opening. So I stuck, and the more I tried to pull my foot out, the more it went down, So somehow or other, I got my foot out, and we went around, and somehow or other we circumambulated Kankan Kund. And one devotee was with us, Ram Roy, who was every day in New York in the park, and during the wintertime when it's raining, he goes down inside the subway. Every day he's doing Harinam Sankirtan. Because he's showing we have to take Harinam back to the streets. Sometimes we have a retreat, but retreat is not an end in itself, that's just a means. When we're defeated a little bit, then we retreat, regroup ourselves, get powerful, and then we go back out and fight. So now it's time to take Harinam back to the streets. Because we used to be famous as everywhere as the Hare Krishna people. I remember I went home one time to I was in LA, so I went to my sister's house, and her daughter was there and her fiance was there. And he asked me, why do you stay in Vrindavan? And I said, well, we're part of the Hare Krishna movement. He said, what's that? And my sister started laughing. He said, yeah, we don't see you guys on the street anymore. I was totally embarrassed. So we have to take Harinam back to the streets. Just the other day, or to the sands. We all went down to the sands on Juhu Beach and chanted the holy name, and everyone was having a good time with us. So anyway, Ram Roy, he just put on his gumshoe, he just jumped into the Kankan Kund. So you can go, you can type in Kankan Kund or Kankan Kund, and then again, I think it was 2010 or 12, I can't remember now. They did the cleaning. So both of those you can see on YouTube. You'll be amazed how deep Radha Kund is, how many steps down. And you can see water was coming from all directions. It was just coming, there's sources just in the sand, and the water was just coming up from all directions. And devotees came the next day. I told them we saw Kankan Kund, and devotees came the next day, and it was already filled up again. So we just happened to, by Radharani's mercy, we came on that very day in 1987, and we got darshan of Kankan Kund. So Radharani Sakis, they broke their bangles, they began to dig. And very shortly, they made a nice Kund. But Krishna came and said, your Kund is very nice, but there's no water in it. And Radharani said, we're going to bring water from Manasi Ganga. Just in the middle of Govardhan, there's a village in the town of Govardhan. There's a place called Manasi Ganga. So with golden and silver water pots and thousands of gopis, one line coming, one line going, we're going to bring water from Manasi Ganga. Now Krishna, he doesn't like to see Radharani, the gopis, doing any work. He can't bear to see a bead of perspiration come on Radharani's brow or into the Sakhi's brows. So he signaled to all those holy places, and they became one person. And they came before Srimati Radharani, and they began to offer so many prayers at her lotus feet. And Radharani saw that this person had come from Krishna's side. She's a little suspicious. He says, what do you want? He said, we thought that the perfection of life was to be associated with the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Because when Krishna took bath in all the holy places, he became purified. Yes? You've been on Bricka with me. No, yet. All the holy places became purified because Krishna bathed in them. But now, seeing your divine, wonderful qualities and seeing the devotion that Shyam Sundar has for your lotus feet, we want to be associated with your lotus feet. We know the real perfection of life to be associated with your lotus feet. We want to come in your Kund. And Radharani, she smiled at Sri Krishna. And she shook her head. First time we came to India, we had a hard time, Sometimes this means yes, and sometimes you just you just have to know the bhav. And so they broke the wall between Radha Kund and Shama Kund, and all the water from Shama Kund came into Radha Kund. And that happened exactly at the midnight. So then when then Krishna took his bath, and everything was settled. So when Mahaprabhu heard that this is a Rittagram, he remembered the pastime of Ristasura, and he began to ask everyone, where's Radhakund and Shamakund? But nobody knew. It was lost to the eyes of the world. So then Mahaprabhu sat in one place. You can go there. There's a beautiful place called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Betak. And first time I saw it, it was a very simple place, and there was a little tamal. It was also known as tamal tala. There was a tamal tree there, but it was very small, and the monkeys were tearing it apart, so it didn't provide much shade, and we were just sitting in the sun at that place. So then one time, some devotee gave me a big donation, said and the monkeys were tearing that tree up. So he said, you put a screen around that tree to keep the monkeys from tearing that tree apart. So we went there, and then we found somebody from Assam had come there before us, and they were building a whole big ceiling there, and they had so many paintings going on all around, all the different pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we gave them our donation and said, you mix it with yours, and they made a nice protection for that, nice shade for all the Vaishnavas. But unfortunately, that tree had been torn apart by the monkeys too much. And in 1996, which was a centennial year, then same time, that tree going back to the spiritual world. They planted another one, but they didn't leave much space for it, so it also eventually died. Now they have another one coming up. There's just nearby, there's a palm tree. And just recently, there's one Filipino Baba. He used to be with ISKCON. He's still very much, whenever there's a feast day, he always comes from Radha Kund to Vrindavan to take part in the feast with us. But he's done a lot of collection. He's fixed up so many places around Radha Kund. And his latest project was fixing up Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Betak. And he tore everything down. You know, when they do something, you never know. Of course, I had faith in him, but sometimes you get doubt what's going to happen. But he made a beautiful place. He got nice donation from some life member in Delhi, and he's made not just paintings, but dioramas all around. And Mahaprabhu, there's a picture of Mahaprabhu standing in the paddy field, discovering Radhakund and Shamakund, the pastime of Raghunath Das, who was just eating the thrown out rice and washing it, and Mahaprabhu was taking some from his hand. So many wonderful pastimes are there. Jagai Madai, so many beautiful marble dioramas are there. And he installed this beautiful deity of Mahaprabhu there, Mahaprabhu's lotus footprints. And he's made little temples in the back. It's so nice work he's doing. Now we can sit in the shade and hear the pastime and everything. Beautiful work he's doing there. So that place was called Tamal Tala. Mahaprabhu sat under this Tamal tree, and being the same Brijananandan Shamsudra, Brijananandana Brijananandana J Sati Sutta Hoilo say. That Brijananandan Shamsudra, other than Sati Sutta, the child of Mother Sachi. So he's the self-same Brijananandan Shamsundar. So he could understand the two rice paddy fields was here. One was called Kali and one was called Gori. So Kali, you know, means black and Gori means golden. So this was none other than, these two paddy fields were none other than Shamakund and Radhakund. And Mahaprabhu went down, he took his bath in the middle of the paddy fields, and all the Brishvasis were astonished. What is this sannyasi doing? And just they were amazed at his bhav and so much praying. They said, this must be our same Brijananandan Shamsundar. But now he's in golden complexion. And he doesn't have a flute. Now he has a sannyas danda and a kamandala. But this is our same Brijanananda. They were all amazed. And Mahaprabhu chanted so many beautiful prayers. Sabha gopi haite radha krishnara priyasi, taite radha kunda priya priyara sarasi. Sabha gopi haite radha krishnara priyasi. Of all the gopis, Radharani is most dear to Krishna. Sabha gopi haite radha krishnara taite radha kunda priya priya rasa. And same way, this Kund known as Radha Kund is just as dear to Krishna as Radha. From Padma Puran. Yatha Radha Priya Vishnu Stasya Kundam Priyam Tata Sarva Gopishu Saivaika Vishnu Ratyanta Vallabha. Yatha Radha Priya Vishnu, just as Radha is dear to Vishnu or Krishna, Tasya Kundam Priyam Tata. This Kund is just as dear to Krishna as Radha. Sarva, we know Sarva means all. Sarva Gopishu Saivaika. Of all the gopis, Ek, there's one, Vishnu Atyanta Vallabha. When we want to say the mostest of anything, then we use the word Atyant. Not just beloved, but mostest belovedest. Of all the gopis, Radharani is most belovedest. Tarara Priya Vishnu Tasya Kundam Sarva Gopi Saivaika Vishnu Atyanta Vallabha. E kunde nitya Krishna radhika rasange jale jala keli kore tire rasarange. This Chaitanya Charitamrita is very unique in Bengali literature. You study Bengali literature, even from mundane point, you have to study Chaitanya Charitamrita because it is so sweet Bengali. And at the same time, Prabhupada said all the deep truths of Vaishnava philosophy are there. Now, when you want to write philosophy, then you have to big words, and everybody goes to sleep. And if you write flowery language, then it gets flowery, and you can't make any philosophical point. But Krishna's Kaviraj, he is there. He says true eloquence is the essential truth spoken concisely in very sweet verses. Even Hindi wala can understand. Huh? E kunde nitya Krishna. In this kund, nitya always Krishna. Radhikara sange. Jale. Of course, we say pani, but in Bengal they say jal. Huh? So jale means in the water. Jale, jalakeli. In the water, they're doing water pastimes. Or tire, we know tire means bank. Huh? Tire rasarange. So even Hindi wala can understand. E kunde nitya Krishna radhika rasange. Jale jalakeli kore tire rasarange. E kunde se ek bara kore snana. Tanna radha sama prema Krishna kore dana. If somebody, ek bar kore snana, one time, we just snan yatra, one time takes his bath. Ek kunde se ek bara kore snana, tanna radha sama prema Krishna kore dana. We heard this word sama before in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, samoham sarva bhuteshu, I'm equal to everyone. Here says Radha sama prema. That prema equal to Srimati Radharani's prema. Krishna Kore Dana. Just like when you go to Radhakund, all the pandas come running, and they want to take dan from you. But Krishna, he's giving charity. What charity is giving? Radha Sama Prema Krishna Kore Dana. Krishna is giving that prema equal to Srimati Radharani's prema in charity to anyone who takes bath. Kundara Mahima Yena Radha Mahima. Kundara Madhuri Yena Radha Madhurima. The glories of this Kund is just as glorious as Srimati Radhika. And the sweetness of this Kund is just as sweet as the Madhurima, the sweetness of Srimati Radhika. So chanting all of these beautiful prayers, Mahaprabhu took his bath and he revealed Radhakund and Shyamakund to the eyes of the world. And you can learn these very beautiful prayers, you can learn them. You see, I think his 14th chapter of Abhadya Lila, Mahaprabhu's tour of Vrindavan. And in whatever language, whatever is your language, Bengali, Hindi, Andhra, what was that, Telugu, or Marathi, even, whatever language you have, you can learn all these prayers and their translations, whatever your language is, for German, French, English, Spanish, Japanese, whatever it is, you can learn all these beautiful prayers. Because they're very nice. In this way, Mahaprabhu revealed Radhakund and Shyamakund to the eyes of the world. Now, somehow or other, people celebrate the appearance of Radhakund on the Bahulastami day in Kartik. But Jiva Goswami very clearly in his Tika on this pastime in Bhagavatam, he explains that this was actually Chaitra Purnima. Just like now Falgun is coming, and very soon we're celebrating the appearance of our dear Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So next month is Chaitra. So on the Chaitra Purnima, Krishna revealed Radhakund and Shyamakund. But somehow there's one verse in Padma Puran that says that if on the Bahulastami day, if somebody takes bath in Radhakund, he becomes very dear to Radharani. It doesn't say anything about midnight. It doesn't say anything about the appearance. Just said that one takes bath anytime. It doesn't say midnight. Anytime one can becomes very dear to Radharani. That's all it says. But somehow, if you go on the Bahulastami night, you'll see all the villagers are throwing peta, this squash, just like when you're on the train and you pass Agra, Agra ka mashur peta, 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 Agra mashur peta. Because somehow there's some special Devi there. There's one temple, the Hoi Devi, and she's a goddess of fertility. So all the villagers, they throw peta in the water of Radhakund, hoping that they'll get a baby in the pate of their wife. So and that got mixed up with the Vaishnava uh, thing of that in Kartik, if you take bath, but it doesn't say that verse in Pamaran doesn't say even midnight or anything. And actually now some devotees have started going on the Chaitra Purnima night. It's very pleasant. Because last time I went, which was many, many years ago, we would take sometimes, I mean, the biggest, I think I must have had like 12, 13 buses of devotees. And we did Harinam all around, 3 times around Radhakund and Shamakund. Now you can't even imagine even walking once around Radhakund or Shamakund. But we would do 3 times around, and then we would sit we would have a special place where we would sit, and we would sit and chant until midnight, and in the stroke of midnight, we all go into the water and take our bath. But the last time I went, we had so many devotees, we couldn't get around anywhere. And when we tried to get down, it took us a half hour just to get down to the Kund. We were on the steps, and people were coming up the steps. We were going down the steps. And finally, they were pushing behind me, and I just fell over on top of everybody down below. And it was a big mess, so we stopped going. But now we've heard that it's Chaitra Purnima, some devotees have started going very peacefully. You can take your bath. And then the question always comes whether we should take bath in Radhakund or not. Now, I learned from my older godbrothers and godsister who lived in Vrindavan, because I didn't come until 1984, but those who were there in Prabhupada's time know that one time Prabhupada took all the devotees on Prikrama. And he brought them one time to Radhakund. And when they came, Prabhupada pointed his cane and said, "This is Radhakund." And the devotees just jumped out of their skins. They pulled off their saris and dhotis and into their gumshoes and whatever bathing paraphernalia they had and just jumped in the water. And the only thing Prabhupada did, because everybody just went completely lost consciousness of their body, and Prabhupada with his cane, he was trying to separate that the ladies should go one side and the gents should go another. He didn't stop them. But he just with his cane, he was directing that the ladies should go one side and the gents go other side. But since Westerners especially were very playful, we started going to Radhakund and jumping in the water, doing cannonballs and backflips and jumping up down and splashing and everything. When Prabhupada heard, he said, "You're just kicking on Radharani." So he ordered that nobody that you just take some water on your heads, going to Radhakund. So for many years, I can't say nobody, but most people never took bath. But I did a lot of research on this, and I went through the database. We know in 1977, in the end, Prabhupada was talking about going Govardhan Prikrama. Somehow, Kinchana Krishnadas Babaji, Prabhupada's godbrother, came because Tamal Krishna was crying and crying. He could see Prabhupada his body is not going to be able to tolerate it. Kinchana Krishna finally made Prabhupada understand it's too, the roads are bad, it's too rocky, you'll not be able to tolerate it. So then it was decided that all the devotees should go, that they would go and do Prikrama on behalf of Prabhupada. So then when it was settled up that the devotees on Govardhan Puja Day, the devotees would go on Prikrama, then Tamal was telling Prabhupada that we'll see, Kusum Sarovar, we'll see Govinda Kund, we'll see Madasi Ganga. He said, we'll see Radhakund. And when he says, you see Radhakund, Prabhupada says, yes, you all go take bath on my behalf. So this is my version of the final order. You can take Ritvik Snan on behalf of Srila Prabhupada and Radhakund. Of course, you should consult with your different spiritual masters, but anyway, Prabhupada's final order is, you all go take bath on my behalf. You can see if you study the conversations in 1977 around Govardhan Puja Day, it's 2 days later than Prabhupada left this world. So that's the final order. But you go very peacefully, and you take some water on your head first. Some devotees are completely fanatic; they crawl in head first. But at least you put some water on your head first before you touch your feet, and you go in very reverently, and don't make a big splash and all. And do it very reverently. You can take bath in Radha.
The transcription of the conversation.
Oh yeah, the whole transcription is in my latest book about Govardhan, because part of that, because that was because Govardhan is described as shaped like a peacock, and the two eyes are Radhakund and Shamakund. So that's the end of Govardhan there. And the other side, way down, is that village is called Poonchari, because that's the pooncha, that's the tail of the peacock. That village is called Poonchari. And lately, people have made a shortcut, Prikama. When you come down, if you go up to the Nrsimha temple there, that our Indraduna Maharaj has fixed up very nicely, beautiful, nice temple and everything, beautiful Singhasan for the deities, very beautiful, astonishing deity of Nrsimhadev is there. From upside, you can see that they made this shortcut, because at the very tail of Puchari, there's a deity named Pucharika Lauta Baba. And the Brishvasis told me that he's the one who takes, what do you say, Hajri? The attendance. So if you don't take darshan of Lauta Baba, then your prikrama doesn't count. So this is a legal shortcut they've made. You have to come all the way out and take darshan of Lauta Baba. He'll note down your prikrama and you will get some benefit. Because Lauta Baba, he was a friend of Krishna. And one day he decided he wanted to cook lunch for Krishna. So he was cooking all these nice foodstuffs. And suddenly he looked up and he saw a big chariot coming, driven by Uncle Akrura. And there was Krishna and Balaram. And he called out, "Oh, Kana, I'm making bhojan for you. You please come." And Krishna spoke immortal words that we hear even today. What did he say? Just now coming. And Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yad Yad Acharati Shreshtas, whatever the great man does, the common man will follow. So we see everybody in India, they tell just now coming, and they go away. So they're all following their leader. Therefore, to return means, of course, well, then Krishna said, I'm just now coming. He's all right, but I'm not eating anything until you come. He said, just if I don't come back tonight, then surely tomorrow I'll come. He said, okay, well, I won't eat anything until you come. No, I'm just now coming. Abhi aayenge. Just now coming. If I don't come back tomorrow, then surely day after tomorrow. Just like in Colombia, South America, where I preach, they say, don't put up to tomorrow what you can put up till the day after tomorrow. So if not that day, then certainly I'm coming the day. I'm just, abhi aayenge, abhi aayenge. And we know Krishna went and he never came back. So to return means lautna. So he became known as Lauta Baba. Come laut aiga lala. He's just waiting there. And when you see him, he's my favorite deity, non-Krishna deity, and there's some beautiful deities on Govardhan Prikrama. But he's my favorite deity in Govardhan Hill. He's just sitting and you look at the expression on his face. He's just waiting. And he doesn't take any grains. Sometimes the devotees, they put pera and bananas and other fruit in his mouth, but he's not taking any grain. And the Vrijapasya Sampad, I wish I could remember it. Just now I forgot. Something that he doesn't take anything, but somehow Mota Baba, by Krishna Prem, he's very fat. You see, he's very fat. And the other story about Lauta Baba is that we know all the Kahar boys, they have their latis, their sticks. But if you see Lauta Baba, beside him, there's a very, very big stick. It's so fat and big, we can't call it lati anymore. We call it Lota. So when Krishna was lifting up the Govardhan hill, then all the Kahar men and Kahar boys, they put their latis. And Lauta Baba, he put his Lota there. And he was thinking, everybody thinks that Lala's holding up the hill, but actually it's my Lota that's holding up the hill. But Krishna is everyone's heart. He knows what you're thinking, So he knew what Lota Baba was thinking. So then he made the hill come down a little bit. Then Lota was, oh! Actually, Krishna's holding up the hill. Then Krishna lifted the hill again. But he's our emblem of patience and determination. Because he sat there waiting for Krishna to return for 4,500 years. 5 years ago, Mahaprabhu came on Prikrama. When he came, they said, Lota Baba, I'm back. So he waited for almost 5,000 years, 4,500 years. So we have to take inspiration from him. Because in the prayers of Lord Brahma, there's a very beautiful sloka. What is that? Tatenu kampa susumikshamana bunjana evatmakrite vibhakam ridbhag vapavir hridayam namaste jive tajo mukti pade sadaya bhak. He says, anyone goes on patiently waiting, expecting Krishna's mercy at any time, tolerating the reactions to his past misdeeds. Tatenu kampa susubikshamana bunjana evatmakrite vipakam. Some of those pastimes are paka. If we just go on tolerating those and go on waiting for Krishna's mercy, then those, he says, dayabhak, you become the inheritor, mukti pade. He doesn't say mukti, he says mukti pade, the place where even mukti gets mukti. The Brishvasis, they have one saying, what is it? Mukti kahe gopal se, tera mukti, amira mukti batai, braj raj mastak lake mukti mukto jaye. That Mukti was asking that I'm giving everybody mukti, but mira mukti batao, well, how will I get mukti? And Krishna told you just put some braj raj on your forehead and mukti mukto jaye. So mukti pade, that place where mukti gets mukti, that is at Krishna's lotus feet. So anybody who at Krishna's lotus feet are always in Vrindavan, in Goloka Vrindavan. So if anyone goes on patiently, Ridbhag Bapavir, with his body, mind, and words, glorifying Krishna, serving Krishna patiently, expecting Krishna, waiting for Krishna's mercy, then he becomes the inheritor of the kingdom of God. Bhakti Bade Sadaya Bhak. He becomes the inheritor of the kingdom of God. So he's our inspiration. That 4,500 years he waited to get Krishna's mercy. Sri Lota Baba ki. And somehow he's a partial incarnation of Hanuman. So you'll always see he's covered just like Hanuman. He's always completely orange. But just I can't think of the pastime, but somehow he's a partial incarnation of Hanuman. So what time is it? 8:12. So I guess we should put our voice to rest here. If you have any questions, we can try to answer those questions. Yes.
Baba, we see many times devotees bring Raj Raj from Vrindavan to Mumbai or wherever close to. Is it a good?
I always take. Somehow I didn't take this time because we were bringing some for my godbrother in Mauritius, but I forgot to get my portion before I gave it to him. But every day I take a little pinch of Raj Raj. In the old days when there was cameras, you remember those things with film? The film used to come in those little black cylinders with a gray cap, I always used to fill one of those up with sand, with dust of brush, and bring it. My daughter was in Gurukul, so I would give it to her. So every day she'd also take a pinch like that. Stones from a Govardhan you shouldn't take without permission from your guru and Brishvasis, but dust you can take. I had a pinch on my head and then.
Baba, we see devotees while Tulsi Parikrama every day. Yani Kani Chapapani after Tulsi Arti. So they take some dust from the Tulsi plant. It's like as equal to the Braj Raj.
I just remember that the soil under a Tulsi tree is very sacred, so whether it's equal, anyway, who can say? Every part of Krishna consciousness is so auspicious. We can say one is more auspicious than another. Just like one time in Akbar's court, there was an argument whether Ganga is more purifying or Jamuna is more purifying. Who's most purifying? So nobody could come to the conclusion. And somebody said, only Jiva Goswami, he can give the answer, the conclusion. So Akbar sent his minister there, and Jiva Goswami said, I've taken Kshetra Sannyas. If I leave Vrindavan, I have to be back before sundown. So if Akbar has a very swift chariot and very heavy horses, then I can come. So Akbar sent his best horses and his best chariot, and Jiva Goswami went there. And just like the flowing Ganga, he began to glorify Ganga. And all the Ganga Pandits went up like this, and all the Jamuna Pandits went down like this. Then Jiva Goswami, he said, but that Ganga, only one time she touched Krishna's lotus foot, when he kicked a hole in the universe, as Lord Vamandev. But that Jamuna, Krishna daily was jumping, splashing, swimming, doing so many wonderful pastimes daily. So she's become 1,000 times more purified. So all the Ganga Pandits went down and the Jamuna Pandits went up. And then Jiva Goswami says, but that Ganga has come to Navadip, and in Navadip, Lord Chaitanya, who's none other than Brajanananda Shamsundar Krishna himself, he was jumping, playing, splashing, bathing every day. So she's become just as purifying as Jamuna. And then he got back to Vrindavan before sundown. Yes?
Well, you mentioned about building in Radha Kund, a lot of one reference.
Yes.
What about building Sham Kund?
Same.
And Baba, now, like you described so many things about Govardhan. Chaitanya Charitamrita, we read about this Mansik Seva. So sitting here, if we sort of plot the entire Govardhan in our mind and think we went here, we paid obeisances, we also get benefit of doing a breakdown.
Yes, of course. Because we know that the story is there in Nectar Devotion. The devotee, he was in his mind, he couldn't worship the Lord very opulently. So in his mind, he was making all this opulent worship of his Lord. And one time he made sweet rice. He wanted to see if it was ready, if it cooled down, because sweet rice shouldn't be served so hot. So he stuck his finger and he burned his finger. When he came out of his meditation, he saw that his finger was actually burned.
You take us on a Bandhu.
No, there's too many places. You want to? There's no 1 minute frequency. That's the trouble in Kali Yuga, or in the modern times. We're just used to clicking on the link. Everybody asks, how do I become humble? How do I develop faith? How do, you have to do the work, that's all. There's no, everybody just wants to come to the sadhu and and click on the toe button, the toe link, bas, oh yeah. But you have to do the work. There's no link that you can click on. You just chant very nicely your 16 rounds. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Yes?
So while doing the chanting, our mind keeps thinking about one thing or the other, and we are always suggested we have to bring the mind back. So is it okay while chanting we keep remembering the pastimes of Krishna?
Well, many times they asked Prabhupada that. He said, just hear. Automatically Krishna's pastimes will come. You just hear properly, hear nicely. Because hearing is the most important thing. I remember one of Prabhupada's servants, he told me he had a picture of Krishna and he was chanting like this, and Prabhupada came in the room. He said, what are you doing? He said, I'm meditating on Krishna's form. He said, no, you hear. You just hear the mantra. Putrikalata. The favorite Krishna deity is in Govindakot. There's a place where there's a Srinathji Gopal deity. On this, when you're facing toward Govardhan, on the left side of you go halfway down the path before you get to Govardhan, and halfway down there's a little temple that they've remodeled. And that deity, when you see him, he's so cute. You just want to cuddle him. Yeah, it's on the right side, yeah. When you circumambulate the Kund, it's on the right side there. There's a huge kadamba tree there. So all those sadhus told me that's the place where Madhavendra Puri was sitting when he discovered Gopal.
How was your first meetup with Prabhupada?
Hmm?
How was your first meetup with Prabhupada?
How was I first? Okay. We were just telling that last night in Palvel, huh? Well, I first joined on Janmashtami in 1969, and I was in a place called Boulder, Colorado. And Prabhupada came to LA in the beginning, January of 1970. So they sent me from Boulder to LA to get initiated. But that time they were in the old temple, which was on La Cienega Boulevard. Now they're on Watseka Avenue, very famous address, 3764 Watseka Avenue. And that temple, there wasn't any place for Prabhupada to stay, like in the present temple. So Prabhupada lived in a flat nearby. He came in the morning. He gave, for greeting the deities. And by the way, I can't remember what we used to do before Govinda prayers. Because I was there in LA the first time that, there's another story. First time Prabhupada got the recording of Mother Jamuna singing Govinda prayers. And he ordered that you play that at Darshanarti. And I can't remember. I've asked even my older brothers and guys, nobody can remember what we used to do before. We've been playing Govinda prayers for so long. But anyway, that was the first day. And Prabhupada came, he paid his obeisance to all the deities. He sat down on the Vyasa-san, and the tape was going on. If you remember tapes, anyway, the recording was going on. And Prabhupada was chanting, Govindam Adipurusham Amaham Bhajami. And suddenly we saw streams of tears were coming down Prabhupada's eyes. And we were all embarrassed, that we were the lowest of the low. How can we be in presence of pure devotee when he's experiencing ecstatic symptoms? We wanted to peel up the tiles on the floor and hide, So anyway, Prabhupada came, he would come for greeting the deities, then he would give class, and then after class, you've seen the nice picture of Prabhupada, with his thumb, he would hold the ring around the gong, and he'd play his gong, and he'd have kirtan. We don't do that anymore, but anyway, always after Bhagavatam class, Prabhupada would have Nam Sankirtan for several minutes. And then he'd go back to his flat to translate. So we arrived a little after noontime, so we weren't going to see Prabhupada till the next day, but it was Saturday. And Saturday night, all the devotees in LA used to go down to Hollywood Boulevard or Sunset Boulevard and do Harinam. And we had a specific place where we did Harinam because the sidewalk was very wide, because If chanting the holy name on the streets is your religion, then the police can't stop you. But if you block traffic somehow or another, then they'll catch you on that. So the sidewalk was very wide there. So one devotee, my godbrother Vishnu Jan, he would have us with our backs to the street, so we were right up against the street so that people could go back and forth on the sidewalk. And he'd have us in a little curve like that. He said, just like Krishna's eye. And he would stand at the end, and he would play mridanga, and he danced in such a way it looked like he was floating. And he not only had tape on his fingers, because all day long he would be downtown LA chanting, then all night on Hollywood Boulevard chanting. He had pieces of tile taped under the tape, on his hands. And he would and Prabhupada said he would chant his way back to Guru. He had so wonderful kirtans. So he was chanting, we had our Hollywood melody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We had part B also. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he would chant so fast. He said, we don't want to leave any gaps for Maya to enter. So we were chanting and Vishnujan was playing the mridanga. Now he can see the street, he can see the sidewalk. We can only see the sidewalk. Suddenly, his eyes got very big and he said, Prabhupada. And he hit the street. Just that night, Gargamuni told us that Prabhupada told him, you please take me to Hollywood Boulevard so I can see how my disciples are pushing on the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya in this horrible place called Hollywood. So, since we didn't see anything in front of us that would make Vishnujan do that, because he just went Prabhupada and hit the street, And we turned around and there was Prabhupada. Now you know how old I am. Prabhupada was in a Ford Admiral. Now, you've all heard of Mustang or whatever the latest model is nowadays, but you probably never heard of a Ford Admiral. Now you know how old I am. So, anyway, it was a mid-sized Ford car. Prabhupada was there in the window, and he was making pranams to us. He was so grateful that the disciples were pushing on the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya in this horrible place, Hollywood. And Prabhupada, he was making pranams to us, the pure devotee. He was making pranams to us. We were embarrassed, because we were the type of people that, we crashed Yamaraj's hard drive. So. So we all just hit the street, But that was the first time I saw Prabhupada. He was so humble and so grateful. Prabhupada was so grateful the devotees are pushing on the Sankirtan movement. The next day, Sunday, that's when I got initiated. All right. Huh? So anyway, if there's no other questions, we'll do some kirtan. We'll do a special Brishvasi kirtan. And we've run completely out of my book, but if you want a copy of my book, Govardhan, the King of Mountains. No, you can go to ISKCON Vrindavan Mart, ISKCONVrindavanMart.com, and you can order one there. Because whatever we shipped here, they're all gone. So if you want the book Govardhan, the King of Mountains, then you can order on ISKCONVrindavanMart.com. Or you go to the ISKCONVrindavan.com website and navigate around.